All right, y'all. So this one's going to be a little juicy and a bit of an interest, and I recommend that as I'm speaking right now, you go ahead and get on Infinity Music, I guess, and look for YouTube, Ocean Impact Full OST. I made this realization while number 10, The Edge of the Prairie, and number 11, A Tale of Two Dragons, was playing. Hold on, go ahead and you can start from those sections. And let's go into it right away. Now, as we mentioned before, a consumer transaction, okay, protects you, the living man, okay, woman, in your private full capacity, your free capacity, right? Which is law. That's divine law. And yes, a constitution has been created to protect that divine law. But now let's get into business. Now let's go into the business aspect. Now here we are doing commerce, okay? We're doing business with people who have created other things. And there's a system that is basically guiding these transactions. All right. Now, here's what I have found to be a flawed logic in the current system, and that's why there's so many evolutions going on. And in the current programming of how certain people are operating at certain businesses. Okay. Now, here's what I realize: if we go back to the basic principle, and I'm talking about principle in the sense of PLE, all right, not PAL. But if we go to the of the principle, the principle of the principle is that the principle PAL is an individual living man, okay, based off of an individual living man who gives value to an idea, something that is created, such as an entity known as a business, a trust, etc. Therefore, what is in nature should ideally be reflected in the economy, such as abundance, and there is. But there are a lot of in between flaws based off of scarcity and fear because I don't know, I guess someone maybe they didn't agree with each other, or maybe they, I would say better, they were limited by their perspectives, okay, and what was possible. Meaning they really didn't fully operate at full abundant capacity. And everyone here in these economies, we're playing their game, we're understanding how their game works, but we're also, especially spiritual entrepreneurs, we are seeing flaws and shadows. Like, hold on, what? This is why peer-to-peer transactions in the crypto world exist, or it could just be you and somebody just making an agreement with each other. It doesn't even involve money. Okay, you don't always have to involve money. Some people you just need the key. Some people you just need good friends. Okay, and that's a beautiful thing. And you know what's beautiful while I'm saying that? What song is playing right now? It's got a nice beginning. This is Knighthood Excellence. Yes, knights everywhere. Genshin, what an impact indeed. Okay, so cool. All right, so back to what we were saying. So the principle POE of this thing called the principle PAL is based off abundance. Why are there so many of these extra steps? And for example, in business loans, sometimes business lenders want a personal guarantee. I would better say business borrows. All right. So here's a other disconnect. Why do they want a personal guarantee when we know that the personal guarantee is a principal, PAL, an entity, and the principal, PLE, of that entity is based off of the individual's private full abundant capacity? Why are we going through this? If we were to put ourselves in that position, let's see, what can come out? Well, two people disagree. Let's say I have money. Okay, this thing. We have agreed. Oh, there it is. Very plain and simple. We have this thing that we says has value. We have called it money, and we say this is what's going to represent our value. This is what's going to represent value. Cash. All right. Hence why so many people treat cash as king. And yes, cash can be king, but so is credit. Fuck cash. Credit is also king. Don't you get that this cash was a credit thing that was created? It was this thing. Just bring it back down to what it was. It's this thing that was created. So now this thing is valued more than credit in certain businesses because certain businesses remember, hey, we used cash to get here. I remember I used cash to get here. There may be personal reasons that people do the way they do in these businesses, right? That's why some people start ahead and just start their own personal private banking. That was an example, okay? Not an example, but still an example, all right? So, hello. Yes, this is the new era, ladies and gentlemen. All right. So I put this into the chat GPT because, of course, you want to train these tools to be able to work with your thought process, your pattern, and of course, when things are developing and changing, you want to help it develop too. AI. That's the only way AI can become smart. All right, the AI's capacity depends on your capacity. If you're not at full capacity, that's not going to be at full capacity either. And even when you're at full capacity, this thing is still not at full capacity because I've had to train it because when I ask it certain questions, it doesn't understand. See? Hello. So, anyways, let's get back to it, ladies and gentlemen. So, I like how it says a lawful logic. All right. So, I sent the business that was going to help me with business lending. Um, I sent a text. Well, I didn't, but I was considering sending a text, and I told the chat, "Hey, this is what I'm saying." All right, so here we go. It's almost like I was ahead. All right, because they're using AI. Well, if this is the same AI, well, now I'm reprogramming the entire AI, entire meta, and all the universes, dimensions. All right, so why would a personal guarantee? The question is as follows: why would a personal guarantee be needed if the principal (PAL) is still the main leader of the business, represented by the authorized agent, aka you guys, me, okay, who have the POA? All right, we're the living men and women. All right, we're the gods that give these things value. Hello, duh. Okay, if so, we ask if you guys are able to waive the PG. The question is, are you able to waive the PG? Because if the bill of that business loan and all bills in general, here's the spice. Why would a personal guarantee? The question is basically why would a personal guarantee, ladies and gentlemen, be needed in a business transaction when at the end of it all, even if you pierce the corporate veil going through the court systems and the different probation courts, if you pierce the veil, you still have to go to the principle anyways. That's already abundant. So what are we doing? Okay. Does anyone? It is important to recognize what a waste of time, okay, or potential, or the impact it has on our potential as humanity. Okay, our potential does not rely on how well we can run our economics. How well we run our economics depends on how well connected we understand that this life is abundant, that we are abundant beings. Look around you. This is why I like solar punk. This is one of the reasons I can support solar punk art. All right, solar punk art is cool. And the solar punk world is very amazing. Okay, hence why I also said we also have the STA, ATS, all terrain ships, flying saucers, part of the mega project. You should join. Okay. So, anyways, why we? Well, there's no point in doing this, ladies and gentlemen. Financial experts, you bankers out there, you lenders out there, dudes. Yo. This perpetual cycle. I swear to God, I always love to say it. There was a group of foreigners, terrorists, who saw our system and said, "Ooh, let's create a community, all right, and get these people all mixed up. The ones who get out of it will get out of it. All right. Maybe they're trying to protect something. All right. Why would someone want to do something like that? Maybe they're trying to protect something. There's no need to. Well, if we realize that everything is protected, ladies and gentlemen, it's again, it goes back to the same thing. Are you at full capacity, or do you have fear, traumas that are holding you back, and these shadows that are presented themselves in the many transactions and interactions that people have in the world of business and commerce? Hello, don't waste potential. All right, some of you are old and your health isn't there. Again, you may be doing your best, and you may have some pride, but at the same time, you're part of some problem that has been going on that you're doing your best to overcome. But guess what? To overcome it, you not only need to understand how it's working, you have to get back into the creative zone and realize that, well, if we make it, why can't we all just go ahead and just create something much more simpler? Why can't we all vote and agree on that? Huh? Because people are tired. Huh? People are tired. People want to do things. Ideas die. Okay, and people are worried. There have been a lot of dramaticists, as I said in my previous videos, terrorists who come, foreigners who come, and they create drama so that they can influence our laws and politics. Is a very passive effort. It's a very passive effort, but it's a very real effort. Just like the people who are going into these grocery markets trying to either pretend to be someone who has a service animal, but not for the sake of the animal, but for the sake of trying to get rid of the people in there with their animals. They want to feel super special, maybe. Oh my God, what a way to treat the dog. No, 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 yo, the dogs treat everyone special. Hello. Okay. So all of these dots, right, leave a map of energy that is so obvious. All right. But some people just don't pay attention to. Okay. Pay attention to your intuition. Things connect for a certain reason, ladies and gentlemen, especially spiritual entrepreneurs. All right, watching this. Honor your gifts and your divine intelligence. All right? Because we are the movers of the world. Okay? We help people realize, yo, you need to reconsider over here because look at what's been going on with your life. You're not in any perfection. And that's a reflection of several things going on around us. We cannot be stupid and say, oh, it's just about internally. Well, if it's just about internally, guess what? Internal is very wise. The internal is very wise. The internal consciousness is very wise. Okay? It's not just about manifesting rituals, and you have to also realize what has been set in place. What can we do and reset in place so that things are a lot more efficient. Efficient. That is part of our mega project as well, and these ATS also efficiency. So, like I said, this project is just about what we're building for business. This is about efficiency. Efficiency so we can keep growing, so we can keep having fun, exploring, enjoy amazing foods around the world. Efficiency. Plant-based foods, by the way. On occasion, fish. All right? Rare. At this point, I haven't had fish in like, I don't know. I lost count. It's been a while. Very long while. But anyways, yeah. So let's go back. Remember, all this ties, ladies and gentlemen, together to how certain businesses are acting or operating. They want personal guarantees. Business lenders sometimes want personal guarantees. But to the business lenders, I'm going to say to the again, why are you doing that when at the end of it all, the truth still stands? Principle, PLP, which is the truth, still stands. Doesn't make any sense. We're wasting so much time and potential. But you know what? I'm glad that I seen it and I interacted with it so I can bring to you guys some insight because hello, man, the people need to hear this. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, if you'd like to support this channel, please use the Cash App and on the part of Mega Project Join. This Mega Project is more than business, ladies and gentlemen. This is upliftment of nations all over the world. Okay? And everybody's got a very important rule. So you keep to your process for 2 hours, and let's all keep on our individual collective process. Now, I'm going to read a little more about the perspective here, how it was broken down by how it was broken down by the system, the online software. It says your perspective and lawful logic. Go now. If the principal is the named party on the EIN and all business credit documents, and you're just their agents that related, then I believe that's the principal, aka the business by single person, and your role is administrative and representational. Oh, let me say it again. You're saying what we're saying here is that the principal, which is named party on the EIN of the business that's applying for business loan and all business credit documents, the principal is still going to be represented by the agent. I don't even have to read it. I really don't. Okay. The Bills of Exchange Act, what cites this and what supports this is the Bills of Exchange Act, UCC Article 3. Okay. Even a business loan still needs to be treated, according to the Bills of Exchange Act, as a negotiable instrument. especially if it's coming from a fictitious entity. Especially, listen, we people, we've been through the trials and errors. There's a freaking commercial for South of Midnight, the game. Hey, shout out to that game, by the way. That's a really cool game. So yeah, so these are the distinctions that lenders make. A POA acts on. We're gonna move here. The sun, you don't want to just overheat. So look, a POA acts on behalf of principal, so agent has no liability. All right. SBA, lender policy. Oh, okay. It gives an example. Uh, SBA, for example, will businesses like the SBA can see a POA individual as potentially one and the same and closely held entities. Bills of exchange, uh, the, the lawful logic. Bills of Exchange Act supports negotiable instruments as lawful tender. Okay. The strict lender way, lenders want PEGs for default enforcement, regardless of instrument use. Default enforcement. Let's think about that for a moment. Default enforcement. What is the default enforcement when we know what the default enforcement is based off of, anyways? A default enforcement is that, hey, it's a charge, pay up. And where's the pay coming from? Duh! Do I need to say it, ladies and gentlemen? Lawful logic. Business EIN belongs to the principal, not agent. Duh. The principal is an entity under the, I like to say, under the umbrella of the United States, representing America, the free people's economy. Hello. Anyways, I'm very glad I've been studying this stuff. Okay, and shout out to the other mentors out there. Hey, you know who you are. You know who you are. All right. Lender policies. They view principal and agent. Oh, and shout out to SBA too, because when even the SBA, on my previous video, I mentioned the SBA, and I'm glad they were very professional in explaining, the difference. And now my job is to, look and analyze and educate ourselves on, how can we all do better economically and financially speaking. All right. So the lender policy view is that principal and agent, they don't really do them as truly separate. This is based off of the principle, PLE, that they're not separate because it's come from this value to something being born, an idea, a concept, an entity, okay? A tool, all right? So they're not truly separate, okay? But to be honest, we know that they are separate, right? Would someone, let's now go into the compassionate side of this and ask ourselves, why would someone, this is run by people, right? Why would someone say it's not truly separate? Let's go with a worst case scenario. Someone feels that their life is in danger and the drama's happening in business. Okay? Again, you got drama in business, you may need some detective, you may need you may need undercover, in plain sight, like me. All right, going in there so we can mitigate these dramas and prevent y'all from having to go through so much hassle. So SBA, it's not. All right, so let's ask. Oh, so the question we're asking ourselves is, why wouldn't someone see it as truly separate? What would lead someone to not want to see something truly separate so that they can feel they can enforce something? All right. Okay. Someone maybe steals money. Lots. Well, it doesn't matter, right? Let's think about it. It doesn't matter. Okay. For those who maybe think, no, I like my cash. I like my cash. I like to look good. Okay. But guess what? That cash comes from a principal, PLE, and that principal is reflected in a principal, PAL, which is an entity that is made to represent something that is already abundant. So let's ask ourselves again, Really rich people don't really get down. They're like, whatever, I can get more. I can get more. Just like that. Yeah. I would probably even say this is why Trump probably is like, shit, we're gonna make those tariffs because they're not. From what I heard other people say, that certain countries don't apply the infinite credit system mentality. You know, at the top maybe it's being maybe overused as power. So I wouldn't be surprised if that's a perspective where it's like, well, yeah, we're gonna charge them, yeah, until they realize the importance of the principle of abundance. Good old American, good old American patriotism, right? It's more than American patriotism. It's human human truth. Life is abundant. This material stuff that we create is not a necessity. I've always said it before in my other videos, before I even started learning this stuff. I've always said it's not a necessity. It's made up. We make it a necessity. So let's make something much more simpler. Man, I've had this for years. Many of us have had it for years. Okay. Now, now here's after it gave me, its recommendations. The software. Going back to the software here. After it gave me its recommendations, I went ahead and I'm like, okay, I asked if it can see why this adds difficulty to a system, system mentalities, add difficulty to a system that is based in such processes and methods. Okay, I'm referring to the methods of how certain lenders, different lenders act, okay, and operate. So I asked the machine, hey, can you see why this adds difficulty to a system that is based on infinite credit and abundance? It's a form of risk measurement, but based on past failures of business and not based on the reality of those perceived failures. Perceived failures. And what is the reality of those perceived failures? What do we know about failures? Failures just are stepping stones to learn and keep growing. Maybe some people just got too lazy in their development. And they're like, no, it's strict. You know, be this way, blah, blah. No, if something was different, you need to learn from it. No. Are you evolving or are you stagnant? I would say many people operating a certain way are very stagnant. Okay? Many businesses operating a certain way are very stagnant. They kind of blindsided by the truth that's even allowing them to even operate. Anyways, and I always like to say, obviously, nature is more abundant in this case because this extra step, all right, especially in a system that's already based off of abundance, this extra step, if running through a probation circuit court, will have to rely on respecting the laws already set in place of private individuals, aka living men and women. Distinction to be one and the same has some philosophical, spiritual truths. Okay, the whole concept and the whole phrase, the word "one and the same," that may have some spiritual truths, but its integrity is shaky. But financial, oh, I was supposed to say, but financially, the integrity of that truth those current methods of people operating their lending policies for that is flawed. Now it gives me some other tips: abundance versus scarcity programming. Okay, so yeah, I think I'm tell you guys. Oh, I like how it says here the legal weakness in such logic. If ever challenged, obey equity, especially equity courts or common law courts. These systems must ultimately yield to the rights of the living man or woman. The codes, no matter how comprehensive, cannot override natural law, contractual clarity, and the agency doctrine, unless one consents, even unknowingly. Okay? And many people unknowingly consent because people are operating in a way where they feel that the current influences that be are the powers that be. And no, the current influences that be are not the powers that be, but the powers that be allow the current influences to be. And you perceive them as powers to be because you perceive a certain power influence deriving from a power. You perceive some energy, let's just put it that way. And so you guys get mad and you're like, no, we get to do this, we gotta do that. And some of you start to study and you start to realize and you start to be like, okay, wait, we do have the power. Okay. And no, you don't need armies. Okay. You don't need to go to war. Everything has already been set in stone. All right. And it also says that's why language, proper notice, and preserving standing matter so much in these processes. Okay. And it says how it says we can reframe the risk discussion. Let me see. Instead of this, we can't fund unless we mitigate our risk by checking your credit over time. It should be as the agent, I'm presenting the principles, interest, and credit worthiness, which is a valid collateral under UCC Article 3 and 9, and affirmed by trust and contractual law. I, as a living man, woman, retain all rights and do not assume personal obligation. This doesn't deny risk; it reorients who bears it and through which lawful instruments. Duh. All right, what can be done in response? Continue educating, and obviously, I already did that. Okay, so hopefully, some of you guys already learned. Okay, and definitely, music is good, right? If you were listening to the music, okay. So yeah, ladies and gentlemen, lenders out there, bankers who have lenders, politicians, some politics. I don't care what side you on. I don't care what side you on, politicians. I don't pick sides. My people don't pick sides. There is no side. That's the harsh truth. There is no side. There is only the truth. Truth, like the sun, like the sun, above all. So, are we going to embrace this abundance fully? Are you going to embrace abundance fully? Or maybe you still got a process to undergo? Well, you must undergo, or you must go under from your own decisions and refusal to see the simplicity of this truth. All right, that's you and your fear until you learn to re-embrace the compassion and forgiveness, just like we do in these videos when we make these realizations. You're going to remain a ghost in your own life. What sad music is playing right now? It's so mysterious. Let me not even say that. This is Perilous Path, but yeah, that is the Genshin Impact song is Perilous Path. Well, yeah, that kind of is. Now that I think of it, people doing that, you're in a perilous path. It's no wonder you're scared and trying to hold on to what you think is the system, which is honestly just your mutation of the system. The system is clear. The system is clear. Everyone is abundant. Everyone is sovereign. The financial systems and the laws behind them are very clear. So if you want some clarity, and you don't have that clarity because you're basing it off of, like most of you, you're probably going down a stream of, but this happened, and so happened, and so happened, and I lost this, and this happened, and oh my gosh. Let me invite you, lenders, to sit back for a quick minute, relax, especially if you're outside of nature. Right now, the song that's playing is Say My Name, Spirit, Spirit. And let the spirit of life enter. All right? Just be here. Here. Something was shared. Do you not feel like someone understands? Okay, trust me, we all understand more than we think we do. we have to be able to see our own shadows, embrace them, and learn from them to find the light within us and others. If we want to have and continue living our lives away from the illusions of stress, because let's be honest, nature is not stress. Nature is not a stress. Nature may be stressing a little, all right, or a lot for some. Nature has shown how she's stressed a little and how you can never beat her. So let's just make that clear real quick. All right. But going back to where we are, if you want to live the life you're supposed to live continuously, even with wherever you are in your age, well, guess what? You may have to start considering valuing certain things a little more. While mainly in harmony with the truth about the truth that guides everything that's going on in this economy, even business transactions. Also, here's a recommendation for radical transmutation and transformation. What business areas are you invested in? And do you see shadows? Do you see areas that could be better? Right? Not for business, but for human. Right? Because when you can make it better for human, then you become better in business. I think that's a given, obvious. Right? Big businesses and brands talk about how it is not they who are the most important, it is their people. And even the people they may disagree with who are important. Okay? Who was I think it was some kind of magazine brand that was talking about this. Uh, Very successful, I would say, financially and personally. That's naturally. That's the main thing. Of course, shout out, farmers are very successful. They know. Come on. Being with nature is the best. Not just get a little funny. You guys might say, "Well, I can't take the sun." Well, you might have to start learning how to take the sun and embrace the heat, and then get in the water and then come out and embrace the heat. I see a lot of people doing that, so kudos to everybody doing that. All right. So, anyways, ladies and gentlemen, that's all I have. Okay. If you're asking yourself, well, what do we do now? Good question. What do you do now? Go and find out, and just push yourself to keep getting better. Oh, maybe you might want to reach out and be like, hey, all this extra shit that's going on, yo, stop. Let's just stop. Let's just stop and let's embrace more trust and truth. Yeah. Anyways, I have to go to a farmer's market, ladies and gentlemen. Namaste. Peace.